comfortably able, please stand. Viva Shalom, Terapala, Gam Besimcha Utsahala, Tochem Maneam Sigula, Toikala, Toi, Kala la 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 Chadodi, Likat Likakala, Pene Pene Shabbat Likabala, Lechala Chadodi, Likat Likakala, Pene Shabbat Likabala. You may be seated. We're going to continue in a moment on page 120, which is where you can find the candle blessing. We have a very special reading this evening from our Sisterhood, and I invite up Bobby Adler, Paula Klausner, Elaine Bergstrom, Vicki Kennedy, and Melanie Nasberg.
Our one touch of Sabbath light begins at the edge of time, honoring the women who came before us, connecting us to a rich tradition. It gently moves from woman to woman, sister to sister. We are one humanity, the strength of many women. We begin with one pair of candles, which ignite the next.
Our one touch of Sabbath light energizes us with the power of its glow, drawing our hopes together, empowering us to speak out for justice. It gently moves from woman to woman, sister to sister, gradually illuminating the world.
Our one touch of Sabbath light invites us to a day of reflection, rejuvenating our souls and gathering our strength. It gently moves from woman to woman, sister to sister, inspired to live deeper and stronger.
Our one touch of Sabbath light glows on diverse faces, stretching across the globe, some of us born, all of us choosing. It gently moves from woman to woman, sister to sister. We come together to make light.
Our one touch of Shabbat light connects, empowers, rejuvenates, and inspires us. Respecting the past, excited for the future, we continue our work, gently moving from woman to woman, sister to sister, each with her light in Sydney, Johannesburg, Minsk, London, in Brooklyn and Boca, Cincinnati, San Francisco, Honolulu, and Jacksonville. On this, our Sisterhood Shabbat.
Thank you all so much. That was beautiful. I now would like to invite up our Bethel Sisterhood singers, Bobby Adler, Tris Barber, Barbara Hood, Jeannie Risman, and Carolyn Alanu, who we are missing and wishing a refuah shlema this evening. The song we're about to sing can be found in your pamphlet in the handout. It's by Debbie Friedman, and it's called Light These Lights. We invite you to sing along. Oh, hear our prayer we sing to you. Be gracious to the ones we love, and bless them with goodness, mercy, and peace. Oh, hear our prayer to you. Let those lovely words on our lips, I invite Vicki Kennedy back up and Bobby to light our candles for us. And we all join it together. If you're comfortably able, I invite you to please rise on page 120. אחת, שתיים, שלוש. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של Shabbat. We continue on page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu v'chrimatum na'aseh b'reishit ki hu yom tehillah l'mikra'ei kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim kivanu b'charta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodesh ahava uvratzon hinhaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen. L'chaim. You may be seated if you wish.
I would like to take this opportunity to introduce a dear friend, a Sisterhood supporter for a long time. I didn't see where you were. Okay. So for over 30 years, I am blessed, and I see what's happening here. So about 30 years ago, we started Bethel, the Beaches Synagogue, and of course we had a sisterhood. And there were 4 of us that kind of had a splinter group. We called ourselves the Yaya Sisters, and we are friends for life. Okay? And I'm pleased that Joy and Rachel are some of our Yaya sisters. Alyssa Korn, who you may or may not know, has moved to Texas, but she's still very much a part of us, forming relationships for life. And that's what I see happening with our sisterhood, with members of our sisterhood, which couldn't make me happier. Rachel has, like I said, been a supporter and has served on the Bethel board, has been an education director, has served in a lot of capacities with Bethel, and she's moved to be near her grandchildren. I think we all get that. But she's here this weekend and would like to say a few words.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is a pleasure. Would it help if it was on? Can you hear me now? Okay. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here tonight. Believe me, it was quite a schlep. An hour and a half of nothing but white-knuckle rain, but I'm glad to be here. As I look out upon the audience, I see many friends, many familiar faces, and many sisters of Bethel. I'd like to first thank Lori for her leadership here spiritually. Thank you very much. I also want to recognize and thank Vicki and Bobby for their extraordinary leadership of our sisterhood. Between Bobby's creative writing and thoughts and Vicki's organizational abilities and deep love of Bethel, I feel we've all been very fortunate. And as of many of you may know, I've been on the board for a little while. In fact, I've served on 10 boards. I don't recommend it for anyone, but it's been a very meaningful and deep experience for me, as I've witnessed a lot of significant and positive changes here at Bethel. As a founding member of Bethel, I've grown to appreciate our sisterhood and how important your roles to Bethel really are. You, my sisters, are the wind beneath the wings of Bethel. You, my sisters, are the hot pink nails and hands that cook, bake, hug, and support the congregants during life cycle events, during difficult times, times when people are in need. You, my sisters, are a sisterhood that embodies friendships, laughter, tears, love, and camaraderie. So at this time, though, I'm here to tell you adieu. John and I and my mom in tow have moved to South Florida. We are in Boynton Beach. If you find yourself down there like Karen did, please give me a call. Maybe we can meet for lunch. I will complete my term also in June as vice president here. So as my husband in the Navy often said, I wish everyone, all of you, fair winds and following seas. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. So I would like to have us turn to page 124, and we are going to have some readers for us this evening. Grace Balkin, Elisa Feldman, Paula Klausner, and Carol Mandel. Page 124.
Yeah, okay.
We enter this sanctuary to welcome Shabbat. Within these walls, we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wanderings, it has endured, a beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors to lives of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their truest selves.
Now we, in our turn, come into this sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness, doubt, the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak, let these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer.
We need to hear your beautiful voice.
Loud, you want me to say it?
Me.
May the door of the synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity.
May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
Our service continues on page 127, and Stacy Jusak and Hattie Kaufman will be reading for us.
There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain.
On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share.
There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted.
On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation.
There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others.
On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal.
So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace.
Thank you. I invite back up our Bethel Sisterhood singers as we turn to page 128 for Hine Ma Tov. Hine Ma Tov is all about joy and sweetness in coming together as a community. Hine Ma Tov U'Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tov U'Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tov Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tov Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tov U'Manayim 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 Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tov, Hine Ma Tov. Ya la 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 la. Hine Ma Tov, Hine Ma Tov. Ya la 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 la. Hine Ma Tov U'Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tov U'Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Thank you so much. We turn to page 146 for the Baruch. And if you are comfortably able, in body or spirit, I invite you to please rise. Yes. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Baruch hu et may be seated. I invite Kara Toker as we turn to page 148 for a reading.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim.
We continue on page 150. Joy will be reading for us.
Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are a life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Elohim among Yisrael.
I invite you to rise in body or spirit for the Shema on page 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. You may be seated, and we continue with the Valhafta on page 154. Ve'ahavta Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shiftecha b'beitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumhecha uv'shartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. We continue with our service on page 159 And Gail will read for us.
Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
Thank you. We continue with the singing of Micha Mocha on page 158. Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha nehedar b'kodesh, Norah tehilot osei feleh, Norah tehilot osei feleh, Mahutecha ra'u b'anecha, Ukei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Ze'eli anu ve'amru, Ze'eli anu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov, uge'alo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Our service continues on page 160 with one of my favorite prayers, the Hashkivenu. Tris and I are going to sing a song first, and then Lori Berger will be reading for us the bottom of page 160. You can find the words in your pamphlet for Let There Be Love. And Tris and I invite you to sing along with us. This we selected in honor of Sisterhood Shabbat, of friendship and of love. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu, L'shalom. V'ha'amidenu, Shomrinu l'chaim, Ufros aleinu, Sukkot shlomecha, Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu, L'shalom, Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu, shelter from life's storms. Lori Berger will now read for us the bottom of page 160.
Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace, and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel for your name's sake. Be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
We continue now on page 162 with Vishamru. And I have to say, I love hearing all of your voices, and I am anticipating being flooded with them on this song. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם אותי לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם וביום השביעי שבת וינפש שבת וינפש שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We rise together as a community for the tefillah, which starts on page 164. Adonai sefetai tifrach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevig Ula Livnei B'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen. Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor L'Olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Atarav Lehoshia. Mashiv Haruach U'Morid Hagashem, Mechakel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Sohomech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayim Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'geverot, Umido Malach, Melech Menit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atala HaChayot HaKol. Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechaye HaKol. Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Toshim B'chol Yom Yahalelucha Selah. Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. You may be seated. We continue with a reading on page 175 by Marcia Cohen.
Thank you. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find a new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai,
She'otecha levadecha b'yira na'avod. We continue now on page 177, and June Van will read for us. Wait 1 second, June. Oh, we just want to hear your beautiful voice. Vicky's going to give you the mic.
I thought I talked loud enough. When we behold your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and stars that you set in place, what are we humans that you are mindful of us? We mortals that you take note of us. You made us a little less than divine, adorned us with glory and majesty. You gave us dominion over your handiwork, laying the world at our feet. How majestic is your name throughout the earth. Baruch atah Adonai, atov simcha v'chavana ladot.
We continue with Song of Prayer for Peace on page 178, Shalom Ra. Shalom Ra Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Ra Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Tasim le'olam. Shalom Raha Yisrael Amcha. Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. We continue now on page 179, where Lori Shapiro will be reading.
Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the people of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamavarech et amor Yisrael, b'shalom.
We continue on page 181 at the bottom, where Elaine Bergstrom, Carolyn Boyles, Hannah Moore, and Melanie Nasper will read.
We reach for you, our God, from our quiet places. May we stand still for a brief moment and listen to the rain. Stand still for a brief moment and watch the play of sunlight and shadow on the leaves. For a brief moment, listen to the world.
Let us stop the wheels of every day to be aware of Shabbat. Find the stillness of the sanctuary which the soul cherished. Renew the covenant of an ancient people. We need a quiet space to test the balance of our days, the weight of our own deeds against the heaviness of the world's demands. The balance is precarious. Steady us with faith.
Quiet places and stillness where we will hear our own best impulses speak. Quiet places and stillness from which we will reach out to each other. We will find strength in silence, and with this strength, we will turn again to your service.
I invite Amy Wolfson up.
Thank you.
We turn now to page 371 in a moment. If there is anyone that you are thinking about that is in need of any form of healing this evening, I invite you to say their names as my eyes pass around the room. I invite our live stream community to add their names of those that they are praying for in the chat or hold them in your heart. In our community, the Shabbat, we are holding close. Robin Zimmerman, Francis Market, Richmond Wynn, Jenny Ben Bassett, Holly Christo, Jim DeArmond, Anita Perlman, Rebecca Kaufman, Earl Levin, Jay Goldblatt, Marcia Cohen, Ron Rappaport, Rose McLeco, Carol Friedman, Carol Wallace, David Cohen, Ron Hood, David Brock, Rifka Bat Hinda, Carol Solomon, Ben Fishman, Shelley Fishman, Natalie Conway, Marion Cohn Spitzner, Dale Ray, Margaret Gormley, June Van, Marty Sewell, Rabbi Michael Matchison, John Mitchell, Deborah Rosen, Mary Blumenthal, Avery Silvers, Rayla Montagna, Dennis Montagna, Cody Allen, Vicki Dunn, Sherry Chait, Sherry Spitzfadden, and Larry Michaelov. Please rise as we pray together for their healing. The Misha Beirach can be found on page 371. Misha Beirach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Beirach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. May those who will not be healed on this earth be blessed with nights free from suffering and days filled with peace. May God grant strength and comfort to those who care for the sick. May God help us to find hope and courage as we face fear and loss. May all who are ill be surrounded by the love of friends, loving companions, families, and community. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated. We continue with prayers of our own heart, and we'll come together on page 180. Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, yaseh shalom, shalom Yisrael B'Meru. Amen. Our service continues on page 491, and Karen and Elaine Wright will read for us.
Before the gate has been closed,
Before the last question is posed,
before I am transposed,
before the weeds fill the gardens,
before there are no pardons,
before the concrete hardens,
before all the flute holes are covered,
before things are locked in the cupboard,
before the rules are discovered,
before the conclusion is planned,
before the closing of God's hand,
before we have nowhere to stand.
Bless us with peace.
Baruch atah Adonai, amvarech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom. It is now my honor to invite up Tracy Aquila, who will be teaching us words of Torah this evening.
Good evening and Shabbat Shalom. My name is Tracy Aquila, and I have the privilege of serving on the Sisterhood board, and more importantly, tonight I get to do the Devar Torah for the Sisterhood Shabbat. Tonight's Torah portion is about... Oh, good. Okay. Tonight's Torah portion is about Yitro's organizational counsel to Moses and God's revelation of the Ten Commandments to the Israelites at Mount Sinai. Recall that up until this point, the Torah has been recounting some epic events, the 10 plagues, the splitting of the seas, and we're just about to read about the ultimate epic event, God's revelation at Sinai. But smack in the middle of all this awesomeness, we read about this little family visit from Yitro. As I was researching and putting my thoughts together in preparation for this evening, I was thinking about Yitro. Here's all these wonderful things Moses is doing, and in typical Jewish fashion, find something wrong. If I think back to my own mother growing up, that A was never good enough. How come it wasn't an A+? Meanwhile, friends were getting $5 for getting B's and C's. Being ranked third in my high school class was okay, but how come I wasn't first or second? Things haven't changed with Jews throughout history. Jethro saw that Moses is incredibly busy because anytime the Jews had a problem or they want to understand how to do a certain mitzvah, they came to Moses. And so every day, from morning until night, Moses sits and answers questions from hundreds of people. This is not sustainable for Moses, as it's not good for his health or his well-being. Jethro understands this and counsels Moses that doing this is too hard for him and will wear him out. Instead, he suggests Moses appoint judges who will oversee smaller groups of judges, and then if those judges don't know the answers, they will go to higher judges in charge of larger groups. And if those don't know, they go to higher level judges, all the way up until it reaches Moses. This way, Moses will only get the hardest questions and have time to do other things. In modern day, we would call this delegation, leadership, and sustainability. As I continue my research about this week's Parsha, it contains a phrase that has appeared in the Torah before, making it a Gezerah Shava. A Gezerah Shava is a method of interpretation on how often a phrase or word appears in the Torah. If a phrase or word occurs only once in a while in the entire Torah, for example, that may mean there's something significant about that phrase or word. And if a word or phrase appears frequently, it doesn't seem to have any interpretive weight. And if identical phrases or sentences or terms appear infrequently, we look for what that meaning may have. Moshe's father-in-law advises him to delegate some of the work he's doing. Yitro points out that Moshe is the only person the Israelites rely on, and that dependence is ultimately going to exhaust Moshe. According to Yitro, the situation is not good. Simple words in both Hebrew and English, lo tov, not good. So what about that phrase, lo tov? It's so simple that you might think that it appears repeatedly in the Torah. Yet, it does not. In fact, the phrase appears only one other time in the entire Torah. The answer is that Lo Tov appears in Breshit. When God sees that Adam is alone, God declares that that situation is Lo Tov, not good. So this is a perfect opportunity for Jezerah Shava. God makes clear that it is not good for one person to be alone, and he creates Eve. Here God is making a statement about the value of family, about the value of intimate partnerships, of love. A partner can provide balance, can help one to shift perspective, can pick you up when you're down. When Yitro exclaims, Lo Tov, he is declaring that it is not good for rulers to rule alone or for rulers to be alone. That every ruler needs partners, people with whom he or she can share only the responsibility, but also the weight of leadership. Yitro makes clear that justice cannot be the sole province of one person, even someone as wise as his son-in-law Moshe. So here in these two Lo Tovs, we see the mirroring of family and community, of the personal, of the political, of the private and the public. It's not good to be alone, not good for society, a community, and not good for the individual. And we know that for Judaism, the line between family and community is never absolutely delineated, never cut clear. Here, Jezerah Shava teaches us that it is not good to be alone, and that we are never as alone as long as we have each other. Bringing this to modern day, we look to our leaders. Tammy Schumer and Karen Friedman are the co-presidents of Bethel, but they have each other and a board to help, assist, and guide them. The co-presidents of our Sisterhood, Bobby and Vicky, have a board as well that inspire and help. Our country has 3 co-equal branches of government, each designed to provide checks and balances to the other 2 branches. As I think about Moshe's journey to find leaders through his nation, what did he look for? What was important to him? But also, what made him such a great leader? What qualities did he hold then that these great leaders today demonstrate? In the corporate world, I know firsthand there are many great leaders, there are also many bad leaders. There are full sections of Barnes & Noble devoted to leadership. While I've taken many leadership classes over time, I've also looked at my past leaders and adopted the good traits and learned what not to do from the bad ones. Here are just a few lessons we can glean from Yitro and his encounter with Moshe. Lessons that are more relevant now more than ever in our lives, both private and professional, that transcend any situation. First off, offer respect and hospitality to each other. Although Yitro is not of the Jewish faith, Moshe welcomes him warmly and bestows upon him great honor. And Jethro, Moshe's father-in-law, took a burnt offering and sacrifices for God. And Aaron came, and all the elders of Israel, to eat bread with Moshe's father-in-law before God. 2, do not criticize without also suggesting a possible improvement. So often we observe things that just don't seem quite right, or in our minds, utterly crazy. Yitro teaches us how important it is to observe a situation and suggest a concrete solution to the burden. 3, it's important to share and unburden others, especially for people in leadership roles. The responsibility is huge and the position can be lonely. Retelling to an outsider helps us to understand what we have been through. It is cathartic. Yitro is one of the very few people to whom Moshe may speak as a peer, sharing his feelings about everything that just incurred, including all the hardships. 4th, listen and be willing to change. It's easy to stick to what we know in the familiar, especially in these challenging days. This parsha shows us how great that Moses is, humble enough not only to listen to Yitro's guidance, but also to have the courage to act upon it. And finally, accept and give credit to multiple sources of knowledge. For many, Torah is the ultimate guide of how we run our lives. But as Rabbi Shehai teaches, just before a moment of encounter with the magnificent presence of God, Exodus stops to teach a lesson. Torah is incomparable, and it's the axis around which Jewish life should rotate. But Torah is not our only source of wisdom and insight. By telling us the story of Yitro, by placing exactly where it is in the narrative structure, the Torah itself here endorses and emphasizes that very point. The rest of this week's Torah portion begins with arguably the single most event encountered by the entire 5 books of Moses, the revelation of God to the nation of Israel from the top of Mount Sinai. It starts with God's declaration that if the Israelites keep his covenant, which he's about to present, they will be his treasure out of all the kingdoms, a kingdom of princess and princesses, a holy nation. The act was likely the only divine revelation in human history as the Jewish nation stood at the foot of Mount Sinai and experienced a public divine revelation, where the nation received the 10 Commandments, Judaism's 10 basic laws, which includes commandments between human beings and God and between people. There was thunder, there was lightning, there was divine revelation. But I chose to speak tonight about the small act of Yitro passing on wisdom and knowledge to Moshe. If I was sitting out there, I'd be asking why. The simple answer, it's human nature. It's easy to be drawn to that shiny new toy in the toy box. By doing that, we miss the smaller things. And not to be cliched, it's all in the details. How many times have we looked at a sunset on the beach, but missed the small details of how the colors reflect in the sand or how the sun looks on the palm trees as it descends at the end of the day? That's what I'm getting at. We can easily miss the small details that are part of something bigger. The Torah continually tells us that through the careful arrangement of the details of life, something much greater, a revelation of divinity on a personal level, can take place. By Moshe going through the land to find great leaders, he was spreading the knowledge and taking care of himself to be able to continue to do great things. In closing, I would like to thank our Sisterhood co-presidents, Vicki Kenny and Bobby Adler, and the entire Sisterhood for allowing me to stand up here tonight and deliver this week's Torah portion. I am both blessed and humbled to be part of Sisterhood and Bethel. And I'd like to leave you with a final thought from an ancient African proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to be successful, go together. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much, Tracy. That was beautiful. And come tomorrow, Torah study, we will be reading through the 10 Commandments, as well as reading them from the Torah. I invite Amy Wolfson back up for the Elenu. And I invite you to rise in body and spirit as we turn to page 586. Alinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'ateit gedula l'yotzer breshit, shelo asanu kikoyei ha'aratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam, va'anaknu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו וגובהי מרומים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו כך כתוב בתורתו וידעת היום והשבתה אל לבבך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת You may be seated. I invite Vicki Kennedy back up as we turn to page 602 for a special reading in honor of our Sisterhood Shabbat and all of the women of Sisterhood Shabbat who work so hard for this community and our members.
Okay, first off, thank you all for being here, for participating, and thank you to Paula Pauser and Marsha Cohen that we put this together, and so thank you for your input. And one of the problems that we had was, who should we have reading for this hour? And we went through it, you know, all of us reading this hour. And I invited all should be together, and then Vicky also.
Okay. A woman of valor, seek her out. She is to be valued above rubies. She opens her hand to those in need and extends her help to the poor. Adorned with strength and dignity, she faces the future cheerfully. Her speech is wise. The law of kindness is on her lips. Those who love her rise up with praise and call her blessed. Many have done well, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty short-lived, but a woman loyal to God has truly earned praise. Honor her for all of her offerings. Her life proclaims her praise. So we continue now in just a moment on page 598. This week, we are remembering Lionel Gleichenhaus, who was taken from us in recent days. In the past year, we are remembering Dan Goldman, Judy Ellikin, Inga Langsson, Phyllis Zuckerman, Nancy Honig, Judy DeArmond, Gloria Bell, Dorothy Zemlach, Fine, Gordon Overton, Jay Arnoff, Marcel Retner Mandelbaum. We are thinking of loved ones, those who died in this season in years past. Clara Berman, Arnold Bergson, Jean Bergson, Faye Chester, Helene Deitch Kempfer, Sybil Golde, Samuel Greenberg, Alexander Hirsch, Claire Hirsch, Jane Hirsch, Leonard Hirsch, Robert Hirsch, William B. Hirsch, Henry Hubschman, Sylvia Hubschman, Ronald Jenkins, Lawrence Kempfer, Hugo Kempfer, Irene Overton, Herbert Babcock, Patrick Robertson, Irving Rosenrich, Sidney Schnipper, Herman Seidel, Ralph Stern, Lily Stern, and Myra Usden. If there's somebody that you're remembering and you would like to share with our community, please do so. Rise as one community as we say the mourner's Kaddish together on page 598. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah v'hama divra hiyotei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon u'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'avala u'vizman kariv v'yimru amen Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach L'olam ulamei amaya. Yit barach v'yit tabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit romam v'yit naseh. V'yit hadar v'yit aleh v'yit halal shemei d'kudusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechamata. Damiran Bialma Vimru Amen. Yehe Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya. V'chaim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mromav. Hu Ya'aseh Shalom. Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Please be seated. Zichronam Livracha. May their memories be for blessing. We continue now with our closing song, which can be found on, hold on, I think it's 645. Let me double check that. Lechi Lach. Yes, at the top, 645. Lechi lach to a land that I will show you. Lech lecha to a place you do not know. Lechi lach on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach, lechi lach, and I shall make your name great. Lech lecha, and all shall praise your name. Lechi lach, to the place that I will show you. L'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, lechi lach, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach. I ask you to stand in body or spirit one more time as we bless this entire congregation. Page 603, the priestly benediction. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yihuneka. May God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yaseim lecha shalom, 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 kiratzon. May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find peace. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. And I also want to say thank you extra to Vicki, because she didn't know she was going to get her exercise tonight, running the microphone around to everybody. So thank you so much.
I want to thank you, Lori, for leading us so beautifully, for arranging the best.
The best.
That we had the best Sisterhood singers, and Dr. Lori, you want to be one of them, and everything that you did with your charm and your grace and beauty. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We will meet in the vestibule for Kiddush and Hamotzi.
Really did lead a beautiful service. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay.
It was lovely. Thank you. I'm so glad to be a part of it.
Somehow they need microphones.
I know.
Yeah, yeah.
I know.
Because
Because
I
I
wanted
want
to
you, I
hear-
don't know if you could hear them as much as I could. They were making me smile back here. It was so awesome.
I wish
It was
there
so
were
awesome.
there were
So
people.
I tried to get them to stand up here,